Alright guys, today we're going to talk about 5 things that still need massive improvement in Planet Coaster 2. Before we start right away with the first thing, here's a little bit of context, okay? So I have said lately the game has become a lot better and the outlook in the roadmap is amazing. So apparently we are not talking about anything that has been mentioned in the roadmap because that would be kind of pointless. We are talking about things, 5 things to be precise, that have not been mentioned anywhere in the roadmap or in any of the streams or frankly anywhere in the forums from Frontier's side. But I think those 5 things are massively important in order to make this game a very solid title that should have been this way in the launch version of the game. So let's get things started. Right, we're starting with one person first, and that is the wonderful ride attendant. That's gonna be a very first point that is super short. This person still exists. There's no job, there is nothing other than existing. Being in place to make a ride operational is super pointless to me. We are getting back our security guard, which is amazing, and as soon as the security guard moves in, the ride attendant will still be dead last in, well, usability and functionality of a, I don't know, staff member. It's totally pointless to have it in the game, and honestly, if they are not going to improve this thing massively, you could better take it out. Honestly, like, to deal with it is just such a tedious work, and it doesn't make anything better in the game other than a weird workload that is not really doing anything. So if there needs to be an improvement with this one, this shall be actually the job itself. So making sure that having a ride attendant who is actually better established and more trained or whatnot would reduce the amount of maintenance, for example. And also you could make them have some more animations. Maybe really do make them check the restraints of people, and it doesn't need to be a sophisticated animation or whatever. Just give them a job, you know, or make sure that someone is checking the, I don't know, gates every now and then from the coaster, like these kind of little gates to open when the coaster is in the train station, or make us use 2 ride attendants per station to make it quicker or not. I don't know, but just give them a job to do, I guess, a function, and if not, just take them out. Honestly, I think I'd be fine with that too, but hey, let's move on to the second one. Which, and I did lie in the first one, this is the shortest one of all the 5, and this is just path borders. God, that's for me very hard to pronounce in English. But anyways, the game has, in my opinion, a super great pathing system, and Taggy 3D has basically done everything with it. So you can see, potentially you could build a rocket and go with it to the moon before Europe will ever do it again. So it is massively powerful, but what it doesn't have is a flat edge. There's always this kind of curb, and let's get rid of it, okay? I would love to have the option, at least on a ground level, to get rid of it. Well, that's it. I think we must have it. It's such a big must. Anyways, let's move on to the third one. And that is a bit more of a important point for me. I know, you know, people have been talking about swing launches. I think the one single most requested thing in my comments is a swing launch, for fuck's sake. It's insane. People want swing launches, and I don't know why, but people want it. And I find it cool too, don't get me wrong, but like I have other things that would have priority. And I want to boil it down all together under the hood of ride elements. And still, till the very first day of Planet Coaster 2, there has no single element been transferred from one ride to the other. We still have just a few types of coasters that feature special elements. And yes, we do have a whole bunch of special elements in. We've got switch tracks, we've got different types of elevators, we've got rotational plates and whatnot. We've got these rotational things in water rides that still are broken in some sort, I guess. But we haven't seen any movement of Frontier doing a little bit of a more broader variant of it. Like, let's go for the first thing, and that would be switch tracks for me personally. Switch tracks are such a very important thing to any type of coaster, mostly. I mean, not every type of coaster in the world has had a switch track yet, but every company has started to implement them in one way or the other, you know. And some specific coasters that I can mention, like a whole bunch of the B&M versions nowadays would have switch tracks in a way or another, but also the Mine Train coaster, a couple of those feature a switch track as well. And I think it would be lovely to at least have the option, even if it's not particularly often used, like if there's just one variant in the world, I guess still give us the option. And also, when you do that, give us the option to utilize the functionality that seemingly is in-game, because you can trick the switch tracks to have a bit more of a longer layout behind that. I forgot which video that was. There is a tutorial for that, but basically what you do is you basically utilize the switch track, then you get rid of it, but you still keep on building on the element of the switch track, which then is feasible. And once you're happy with that, you just go back and do an autocomplete with the switch track piece, and then all of a sudden the part of the switch track can be a lot longer, as long as it can, as long as the coaster automatically comes back to the point where the switch track happened. So that is super cool that you can do it, but it would be nice to not trick the game that far, you know, and just have the option. And same again goes for things like swing launches, or also all type of other elements we have in one or the other ride. Give us the option to realistically give that into coasters, you know. I do see the point when there is a coaster type, I don't know, let's say a spinner coaster, okay? I can't really think about a spinner coaster that has, I don't know, an elevator. Maybe it has, I don't know. But if not, that's totally fine. But like usual things that have been used on multiple rides or so, I mean, why not give the option? It's a game after all. And I do love the fact they go for realism, yeah, but you know, that it's in-game now. There's no excuse for that. If it's not in-game, okay, fair, but it's in-game now. So, yeah, what shall I say? That would be lovely to have a bit more of the ride elements, because I feel like this would give people so much more power. And the rides I've seen from the X Dimension coaster is insane. It is absolutely fun to watch. And just give us a couple more coasters that have the option to. And, you know, at the end of the day, I would love to say also transfer tracks, but that shall not be it. I'm talking about fixes in a way, and not necessarily about 5 new things that the game should have. This is labeled as 5 fixes, so we should not talk about switch tracks because they're not in the game. Transfer tracks, I should say, they're not in game, so would be nice. But as part of the ride elements, I'm talking about those that have been in game already. Anyways, let's move on to number 4. Which is obvious fixes. And okay, fair point. This is kind of a little trick, because if I would name one number 5 in a video that's talking about fixes, but like, you know, all the other fixes were some bigger topics, and now I want to go into 2 or 3 specific fixes that are broken in game since day 1, and has, or actually, yeah, I think it's 3 I want to mention here, that I don't want to put like one topic over them, because there is not really a topic. But the first one that is super apparent to me is the water VFX of the classic water rides like the River Rapids or the Log Flume ride. Holy macaroni, are they bad. Like, I have been one of the people and persons who have been fighting actually alongside Frontier and defending the new graphics. I love the new lighting, and I do get the fact that we need options to change the saturation and maybe the hue and everything around the lighting, and maybe even kind of, it's not the shaders, but it's almost like the global illumination kind of shade tint. I think that if you go for a 3D editing, it almost feels like that the global illumination tint is too warm, and if you could change that, that would be amazing. But we shouldn't talk about that one. We could add that to the list now spontaneously, because that's an obvious fix. But I want to talk about the VFX of the water. It looks not only worse than any other water in the game. Frankly, the water in the flumes looks fantastic. I love it. I would love to abuse that for other purposes, because it's so good. And then you have these river rides, which they also look miles worse than Planet Coaster 1, which is so odd to say. I mean, why would you even do that? It's so odd. Please, Frontier, if you're listening, just fix them, okay? Just give them the same VFX as the flumes. Everyone will be happy. Easy fix and go, all right? The next one in this specific list is the Omnimover. The Omnimover ride was advertised with the moving on our belt, the moving belt to it, you know? And the conveyor belt has even been advertised in all the copies towards the ride. But all of a sudden, just before launch, this copy, this text vanished, and you will not be able to find the conveyor belt naming anywhere. It's been there, you know? This thing has been called with an active conveyor belt. It's not. Everything is broken about this thing, or maybe I haven't double checked, but this is so odd and looked so bad and shabby. I really do hope they tackle that and give us a proper conveyor belt, because it was advertised this way, and I feel like this is the first moment to really bring something about the stations. This has been one of the single most reasons why I have been so keen about transfer tracks and completely reworked stations, because I thought it was a bad joke. I thought it was a bad joke that they came in with this version of it, and I was like, okay, they're gonna fix this later. Maybe they weren't able to do it in time, so they do launch the game with that and then fix it. Apparently they don't, and I just think this thing needs to be fixed. It just needs to be fixed, because that is really, really damn odd. And the last thing I want to mention is, like, why the heck can we not recolor the flume inflatables? That is so odd to me. That would be lovely if we can recolor them, because I'm tired of these yellow inflatables. I want a blue, red ones, green ones, whatever. Or is there a reason why they're always like, am I wrong and they're just produced in the world in that color? I can't imagine. Anyhows, that should be it about the obvious fixes, so let's move on to the last point, which is equally the biggest point of this video. So prepare yourselves, let's go to number 5. And that is weather. Boy, have I been waiting to talk about that. I'm gonna make a video about this in particular, but because I'm doing this, I'm gonna keep this one relatively short. Relatively. So, weather has been one of, if not the biggest thing I was looking for in this game. And the main reason for that is that I felt like it's gonna have such a huge impact on the game. And we got weather, and it just has no impact on the game. We had to wait for having control over the weather, first of all, and then the weather looks just bad at all. Like, it just looks bad, and I want to phrase it relatively simple. Frontier could have just done one thing: take the weather from Planet Zoo, hit Control-C, and go to the version that is meant in Cobra for Planet Coaster 2, and hit Control-V. And everyone would have been happy, and in brackets, I do know it's not that easy, but you get the point. However, what they did is they took an amazing weather system that everyone has been blown away with in Planet Zoo, still everyone loves till this day, brought it over, left out snow for no obvious reason, and brought in wind for no obvious reason. Wind looks completely overpowered and weird, and if that's not enough, they also took the rain and made it way worse. They integrated light rain, which is a cool idea, I guess, but for some odd reasons, the heavy rain should have been light rain, and heavy rain is not existing. And okay, to make it even more complicated, you embedded wind into the game. Proper wind. Visually, it also affects the trees and stuff, and you've got rain, and you've got heavy rain, but you've got no storms. I just don't know what's going on. That is like, you have all the ingredients of a salad, and you intentionally decide to just put 2 of 6 ingredients in and took a completely different seasoning on top of it, which just doesn't taste. But you do, like, why? Why would you do that? Just take all the ingredients you have, throw them in, put the pre-made seasoning over, and enjoy the freaking tasty salad. I can't, you maybe hear that from my voice and my phrasing. I just can't get over it. I can't get over how they binned and jinxed and I don't know weather so badly that for the first time ever in this game, or in games like that, I've not for a single time used weather. Like maybe for a video just to showcase and also maybe for a screenshot, but like there's no point in using the weather. It's no different. Like this should be one of the biggest selling points and differences to Planet Coaster 1 because it didn't have any type of weather. Yet it makes no difference. You don't need weather in this game if it's implemented like that. So please, Frontier, just completely overhaul the weather. So there are 2 ways of doing it. I'd be happy with both, but like obviously I would favor the latter, but let's start with the first one. Go back to Planet Zoo, take the weather, copy it in, call it a day, okay? Just give us that weather, everything is fine. No one is asking questions. But if you want to do what you've done very nicely in the last couple of weeks with the updates, take an existing feature, like for example the restaurants that have been very cool, and then make it even so much better in the next game. So, hear me out. Take the weather of Planet Zoo, nice, very easy, keep it that way, add wind to it, lovely, add light rain to it, lovely, but take the heavy rain from now, lovely, okay, cool, and then just one more thing, add storms, okay? Because storms would be nice. Right, that's the weather. Check. Okay, fine. But there's more about weather I want to talk about. Having said that we've got weather in the game, yes, people do take out their umbrellas when it's starting to rain. However, how fun would it be to have an animation of people struggling with an umbrella when it's super windy in a storm? That would be fun, right? Isn't that exactly the type of love that you would think Frontier would do? Because just like how much of a great game and great opportunity that would have been. Just like one animation, how a group of people just struggled with the umbrella. How freaking fun would that be, you know? We've got animations for everything, you know? There's so funny little Easter eggs in the game. That would be amazing. But also, can we finally have people wearing clothing according to the season? I totally get that it's not working towards weather, okay? If we have full control over weather and we switch over to snow, for example, if we had any, people can't just magically wear winter clothing all of a sudden. I get that. But if we have, like we have, active seasons in game, why can't people just have the clothing according to seasons? And again, I would, totally understand it if people would never leave the park or whatever, magically leave it at some point, but you've got an active system of people leaving the park at least after 3 days. So technically you could even switch out the clothing in a natural way by just saying, okay, fine, now it's winter as a season, everyone spawning from the first second of winter will have winter clothing, and everyone in the spring or whenever else it is, the first person has the according clothing. That would work, and no one would worry if someone in summer is still running around in winter clothing because they've been in your park for like 8-9 in-game days. That would be fine, and you would even have a visual kind of notice or at least signal that someone has been so long in your park. I don't know, but like, there is so much to love about weather in the game. If it had any impact of it, I'm not even starting off closed down roller coasters like heavy storm. Okay, every roller coaster that goes above a certain height has to be closed. How fun would that be of a little thing? I don't know. It's not that hard, is it? Anyways, I must stop here because I want to do a proper video about this. And let's go into the conclusion of today's video. Okay, like in every bad kind of casting TV show, I'm gonna go like in a speed run through the 5 points, so you can decide for whom you're going to call in. Just kidding, but like the first one was our most favorite staff member of all, the ride attendant, not having any kind of job. Actually, he's not jobless, but he's still not having a job. Then we've got the nasty things that we don't have a flat path, so we always have the curb. We gotta get rid of the curb. That would be amazing. Then we need to have ride elements on all, or at least on most coaster types, like switch tracks and elevator stuff or rotational platforms, whatever. When they are fitting, give them to all the possible rides that could have them. Then we have got some obvious fixes, for example, like the game hue and saturation to make like the lighting and so on better for the people who are more used to realistic colors. We sneak that one in, but also please change the water VFX and also ensure that other things like also are fixed that are super nasty in the game, like the conveyor belt, for example, of the Only Mover. That was that one. And the last one should be very much in your head if you've watched through the whole video, is the weather. So basically, I guess we got all these points. And I don't want to make it too long. This video already is too long because I ramble too much with the weather. But I just want to give you a last bit of a balance, I think Frontier has done a great job in the last couple months to fix a lot of things in the game, and this video is by any means meant to, shit talk again or whatever. I know people just really don't get it, how a balanced feedback works. I've had a lot of positive feedback lately, and I thought to just throw in and to make them push Frontier further, push the community further. I want to remember us and remind us of some of the obvious things that still need fixing. So that's why this video exists. If you agree, that's fine. If you disagree, that's fine too. But let me know in the comments down below what is your opinion on those 5 topics and what would be your 5 most valuable things to be fixed. Remember, not new things, fixing things from the existing game. Thanks so much. I talk to you in the next one, and don't forget to subscribe. As always, you know the drill. Whatever. Bye.